So we went from watching one of the worst horror movies we've ever seen to watching what we both agree is the best.
Yeah, and from the same,
Unfortunately,
group
same franchise,
same
universe.
franchise.
Yeah.
But worlds apart.
Today we're talking about the original The Exorcist.
That's right. And we got to see the director's cut with all the added scenes, which I think is really good. It fills out things a little bit more. So I really like this version.
It's only about 10, 12 minutes longer, but it does put a few other things that happen in the story into perspective. And there are a lot of scares that weren't there in the original, little details that actually really make the movie just that much better. Just like William Blatty said to William Friedkin.
There you go.
Is that his name?
Yeah, Bill. Well, Friedkin calls him Billy, but yeah, there's a lot of confusion in names there. But great script based on his novel. I've read the novel. The novel is terrifying. The movie really captures it. And what I feel like is missing from most horror movies, whether they're calling themselves The Exorcist or otherwise, is they don't seem to. They feel like they want to invest in CGI and jump scares, which are the two least scary things to me. I feel like the reason why The Exorcist works is because all the effects are practical. Some argue that they don't hold up, but I disagree. I think that doing things like with the head rotates, but they have the breath coming out of the dummy's mouth and all that stuff really works. And I think what really works, especially besides the writing, the cinematography, the direction, everything, is the acting. The performances here are amazing, and Linda Blair was nominated for an Oscar and did not win, which I feel like she should have, regardless of who she was up against for supporting actress. But there was so much emotion in these characters, and this time it's probably about the 12th time I've seen it probably, and I think this is the most emotional viewing for me because I was used to all the scares and the horror, and I started looking at the emotion behind it, and I think that makes all the difference in this.
Yeah, I consider it the best horror film of all time, not necessarily because it's the scariest, but if you really imagine yourself in this scenario, that would obviously be horrifying.
Right.
But it's just the way that Friedkin directs, the cinematography in this film is gorgeous. I mean, there are some scenes that we were talking about. The priest was having a conversation with Linda's mother, and you can see the camera panning in, right? And then going out. And it's just... it gives you the idea of, is this our hero? Is this our savior? And then it pans out, and you're just thinking, oh, maybe not. We're going on to the next option. And just from shot to shot, every single piece of this film has meaning to it.
Yeah. And
it was well thought out. And I just appreciate that so much. And this newest one just isn't that. It doesn't have the love. It doesn't have the passion.
Yeah, and I think this kind of gets to the core of what scares people. It's not even about the devil stuff. It's just all about the sounds. Let your imagination, take over and kind of fill in some of the blanks, as all great horror movies do. Right. And I feel like you could probably take any 15 minutes of The Exorcist and put it up against most horror movies from the last 20 years. There are definitely going to be exceptions, but I feel like you could stack it up against that, and that the worst 15 minutes of this is probably going to be better than the best 15 minutes of most, I'd say probably 60, 70% of horror movies that are out today, because they're just all interested in how can we, use CGI, how can we do this, and you're forgetting that what scares us are the things in our own brain.
Right.
That's what makes terror not
It isn't the
things.
shock value. And yes, this movie has a bunch of shock value. That's why it's so popular, especially because in a time where that wasn't necessarily, something you were used to seeing, pea soup coming out of somebody's mouth and, just throwing up green goo and a lot of horrifying scenes that I don't really want to say on camera, but you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. Even the levitating and just the holy water with the scratches, you can tell that this wasn't the main draw of the film. It wasn't. It was the story. It was Ellen Burstyn's character. It was the exorcists themselves. That's why it's called The Exorcist. And yes, he's not the protagonist of the film, but he plays a major part, obviously. He's trying to quell these demons from Regan. And you can tell, as he's going, is his hope waning? Is his faith dying a little bit? And it's so good. It's so rich. There's so much to bite into. And on top of that, we have a true hero. Several heroes, because in reality, Ellen Burstyn, the mother, she really is a hero. She does everything possible to help her daughter. And, that's what a good mother would do. You would check every box, right? She went to a neurologist. She got MRIs done, and MRIs looked horrifying, right? She went to a lieutenant. She also went to exorcists and priests. She did everything to get Linda better. and sorry, Regan better. And it just, she's a hero for that. Obviously, any good mother would do that. And on top of that, the Exorcist that we see, who is at the, I don't want to give away the end, but he is a true hero because he does everything possible. I mean, he's not a coward. He's brave. Mm-hmm. He knows that he doesn't have the skills that it takes to perform this exorcism. He knows that he's not ready, but he goes in anyway. And he braves the storm. I mean, it's horrifying. And you know that these demons feed on fear. And he stood courageously without fear. And it was just, I mean, that's exactly what you're rooting for. It was just amazing. And
well, he has demons besides,
right, that too.
You know, the demon that he's actually trying to exorcise out. Like, he has his own personal demons, and I think that's really kind of, I almost feel like the title could kind of apply to all of us. You know, we are all exorcists when it comes to, like, you know, getting our demons out and embracing, you know, truth and honesty and the light and your faith or whatever it may be. So yeah, just like on every level, the movie is just an A+.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, it's the perfect horror movie if you ask me.
Absolutely. So if you haven't seen it, you definitely got to check it out because you'll probably be shocked and surprised at just how much this has held up.
Absolutely. I was rambling a little bit.
That's all right.
Why didn't it stop?